Oh, watching the TV the other day, and I'm watching TV about a week ago, and I see Tiger Woods playing in that what is it called, the TGL? Where those golfers, they tee off into a green screen, and then the computer projects where the ball will be out on the fairway, and then you hit it on. And once you're on the green, then they have a little putting surface there in the studio where you can putt out. It's interesting, not something I'm too interested in, but it looks pretty good. But the thing I was impressed with is at 50 years old, Tiger Woods looked awesome. I mean, physically he looked great. Looks like he's been working out and muscular. It looks like an athlete. And he's hitting the ball well, hitting it a million miles an hour. He looked really good, and I was looking forward to Tiger playing in the Masters this year. And who knows? Maybe one day we'll see Eldrick Tiger Woods wearing the green jacket again. I know he's 50, but this is golf. You can play very effective golf into your 40s and 50s. But then the word came out, watching television the other day, Tiger Woods is in yet another car accident. He flipped his SUV over on its side, evidently trying to pass a city truck or something doing some construction on the road, clipped the end of it trying to pass, car tips over, and he comes to a skidding halt with the car on its side. Now, that could have been a fatal accident, but thank goodness Tiger was able to crawl out the window, get out, and he's pretty much unharmed. We saw the picture of him where he didn't look good, the mugshot, but he made it out of the car. But see, now I've always thought he had that big accident in 2017, and he had that other huge accident. I think it was in 2021, the one where he drove into a ditch in Los Angeles in the Palos Verdes area. Driving to a golf tournament, where he evidently fell asleep at the wheel, went off the road, and I think he crashed into a tree or crashed into a ditch or something. The car tips over, and that was a lot worse than this one. In that one, he did so much damage to his leg, his hip, his knee, his ankle, his leg, that they almost had to amputate his leg in the hospital. That's how bad it was. That's how serious the situation was. And the word was he fell asleep at the wheel, I think, which none of us believed. And I said at the time on the radio, I'm 100% convinced. Now, of course, this is only my opinion, but I'm 100% convinced that he's addicted to opioids, that he's addicted to pain-killing medication. And again, in this latest accident, he blew .000 on the alcohol meter, so he hadn't been drinking, but he was under the influence. He was driving under the influence, not of alcohol, but of pain-killing medication, obviously. And you can understand why. He's had, 7 or 8 back surgeries? He's had neck surgery. He's had surgery for tearing his ACL. He tore his Achilles tendon not too long ago and had that repaired. So he has had a litany of injuries. And I can only imagine. I've never had back surgery, but I've known people who have. And just having one is bad. I mean, you have pain when you get to the hospital. They operate on you. You wake up in the recovery room. Then it's very painful, when you get out. You have to learn how to walk and use your back again. Then you got to go through the whole rehab process and get yourself normal. That's a painful experience as well. And then you finally get yourself right, and you're finally normal. Maybe you have fusion surgery or whatever, because Tiger had fusion surgery not too long ago as well. But imagine going through that 7 times. Them putting a knife to your back on your spine and cutting 7 different times. And add to that the Achilles tendon tear, the ACL injury, the neck surgery, and the litany of other injuries that Tiger has had. Well, yeah, sure. And under those circumstances, I'm sure he's in so much pain. You got to be on pain-killing medication. I know he works out a lot and tries to watch what he eats and all that stuff, but you're going to be in pain with 7 back surgeries, an ACL, and Achilles, and a neck surgery. So, yes, he's got a problem with opioid drugs. He's got a problem with pain-killing medication, obviously. And I'm not holding that against him. That can happen to anybody, especially when you look at all the surgeries he's had. That I'm not holding against him. What I am holding against him is his insistence to keep driving. Now, this was disturbing the other day because he's a menace not only to himself, but to everybody else on the road when he's driving. Because on those pain meds, he's woozy, he's drowsy, he's sleepy. He fell asleep on the road when he almost got his leg amputated, and then 2017 was another accident, and this one here, sliding on his side, he could have killed somebody. They've got to take his license away. Now, he said the other day, I'm going to continue driving because I like my privacy. I don't want people knowing where I am, which is a lame bullshit excuse and shows that he's in complete denial that he has a problem. Tiger, you need to get out of denial. You've got a problem with opioids, in my opinion, with opioids and prescription drugs, pain-killing medication. So this decision has to be taken out of his hands. Now, I know he's supposedly facing prison time because this is what, his third offense, driving, serious accident. And we're going to throw the book at him and nobody's above the law, blah, blah, blah. Now, Tiger's got the best lawyers in the world and he's a billionaire. He won't see a day of jail time. Now, he went into jail for 8 hours after he turned his car over, but that was a procedural and that's state law. He's not going to go to the federal pen or he's not going to do any time, but he's going to pay heavy fines. He's going to face discipline. And what they need to do is take his license away for at least 5 years where he won't be able to drive. He's a menace to himself and he's a menace to society when he's behind the wheel, when he's drowsy, loopy, and addicted to pain-killing medication. And for him to say, I'm not going to stop driving because I value my privacy. Again, that's a total bullshit excuse, and to me, shows that there's somebody in complete denial that he has a problem with prescription drugs. And he's a billionaire. He can buy a limousine, hire a driver, and have him take you anywhere you need to go while you're hopefully, going to rehab and trying to get over this addiction that you have. And how do you lose your privacy when you're being chauffeured around? When he doesn't want somebody to know where he lives. It's pretty much public knowledge. You can Google any celebrity and find out where they live. And he doesn't want people to know where he's going. Well, somebody could follow him in his car if they want to know where he's going. So to me, that's a BS excuse, and that's him just being in denial about his drug problem. So the decision has to be taken out of his hands. And this is, when you look back at Tiger Woods, I remember when I'm reading about him in Los Angeles when he was, 14, 15, 16 years old. This prodigy coming up, could be one of the great golfers of all time. And he was on the Mike Douglas show with Bob Hope, I think when he was 3 years old. I think we've all seen that video where he's out there hitting golf balls with Bob Hope when he was 3 and smacking it and looking good. So he's always been a prodigy. And then when he's 21 years old, I'll never forget, in 1997.
Dave Smith Unleashed, brought to you by MTS Transportations. And mention the Dave Smith Unleashed podcast and get 20% off on your next shipment for all your shipping, trucking, and freight needs. There's only one business to call, and that's MTS Transportations at 800-640-6873. MTS Transportations, 800-640-6873.
I was in Vegas. I think it was the De La Hoya Pernell Whitaker fight. I was in there covering a fight. And we're all sitting there in the sports book, and there's Tiger with a huge lead going into the final round of the Masters. Thinking, but the kid will probably choke. He's got a 6 or 7 stroke lead. To the contrary, he opened up the lead, and he won going away and started one of the great careers, arguably the greatest golfer of all time. I'd say Jack Nicklaus number 1, but Tiger's right there. I think at least at number 2. And what a tremendous career. And the fact that this was a black golfer. Well, father black, his mother was Thai, half Asian, half black. But the fact that he was a black golfer out there doing so many great things. Remember at the time, I was saying on the radio at the time, hopefully this opens up the game of golf because of what Tiger is doing here. And he was going to schools and he was opening academies for people of color, for black kids, people of color in impoverished areas. And they were all taking golf lessons and they were all going to the driving range. And I was saying on the air, boy, this is going to be fantastic. We're going to see so many black golfers on tour in 10 or 15 years with all these kids developing. The sad thing is there's fewer black golfers on tour now than when Tiger started. It hasn't worked out that way. I thought there'd just be a boom in young black golfers coming out and joining the tour. It hasn't worked out that way, unfortunately. But getting back to the issue at hand, Tiger, it's time to get out of denial. The fact that he can't admit that he's a danger on the road, that he's a danger to himself and not only to everybody else out there driving is about as big a red flag as you can get. See, I've been around alcoholics. I've been around drug addicts, and some of them in my own family. Always in denial. Oh, I can stop whenever I want. Oh, I'm not a drug addict. I go to work every day. I'm fine. Get off my back. Quit preaching to me. That's until they kill somebody or they wind up killing themselves or winding up in rehab. That's what you always hear. But I'm not going to believe Tiger is truly interested in getting himself healthy, getting himself sober, getting off those prescription drugs, getting on with his life, and getting back to being the great golfer he's always been, until I hear him get in front of a microphone, say, hey, listen, I've been in a tremendous amount of pain with all the surgeries I've had over the years, and I've had to take pain-killing medication, and unfortunately, I've tried to get off them, but I can't. I've become addicted to opioids and pain-killing medication, which I think is the case. And from this point forward, out of respect for myself and out of respect for everybody else out there on the road, I'm not going to drive until I shake this demon, until maybe I go to rehab again, or maybe until I get myself clean and pass all kinds of drug tests. I'm not going to drive again. And I'm going to honor the courts taking my license away for however long it is. And yes, I have a problem. And yes, I'm going to stay off the roads. And yes, I'm going to beat this. And yes, I'm going to be Tiger again. That's what I want to hear from him. The last thing I want to hear is, nope, I'm going to keep driving. They're not going to stop me because I value my privacy. I don't want people to know where I am. Again, lame, horse crap, bullshit, horse shit, whatever you want to say. Tiger, none of us are buying that one. So please, Tiger, come out of denial, get yourself some help, and don't hold a press conference and say you're not going to drive anymore. I've had 3 major accidents. I could have killed myself and several other people. Thank God I didn't. I dodged the bullet. Now it's time to get healthy, and I'm not going to drive till I'm rid of this addiction. All right, that's it for me and Dave Smith Unleashed. Make sure you go to the YouTube page at the Dave Smith Unleashed Podcast, at the Dave Smith Unleashed Podcast. Follow me on Twitter at Dave Sports God, and we'll talk to you next time right here on Dave Smith Unleashed.